Today is going to be part 2 of tracking down the electrical issue on my Porsche 944, so let's get right into this. So really the electrical issue I've been having is whenever I turn on the headlights, all the other gauges like the oil pressure gauge and the temperature gauge and the gas gauge, they all seem to do a little jump. And whenever I start the car initially, it does run really rough at like 600 RPMs. So my guess is there's probably a bad ground around this car somewhere, and basically I'm overloading the system with something. So I'm going to go ahead and take the battery off so I don't electrocute myself. And if you remember last week, I did change this ground right here from the firewall to the engine, but unfortunately that did not work. So my next step is to take the headlights out of the car. Since it does happen every time I turn the headlights on, I want to go ahead and see what it does without the headlights in. So I'm going to have to go ahead and manually put the headlights up since the battery is disconnected, so that way I can get them out. Taking these headlights out is pretty easy, except this black plastic trim that goes around it is very brittle and can be very hard, so you just got to be careful not to break it. Now that I've got the headlights out, I'm going to go ahead and check to see if they're working. So I'm going to put the battery back on and then go ahead and put the headlights down so that way I can properly put them back up. Then I'm going to go ahead and start the car back up and see, does this work? It does not look like it's working, so we're going to have to go back to the drawing board. So I'm going to go ahead and put the headlights back in because I know these are not the problem, so I'm going to have to check something else. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just start cleaning all of the grounds. The first grounds I want to check are these sets that sit right behind the headlights. I'm going to check these because of their location. I think maybe there has to do something with the headlight motor that's causing this issue. So I'll just go ahead and take the bolt out of the grounds. Now there are 4 grounds connected to 1 bolt on the driver's side, and there's going to be 2 on the passenger side. So odds of this working are pretty high considering how many connections go through here, but we'll have to see. So after I take the bolt out, I just clean it up with a brass brush really quick. There was a lot of rust and corrosion on here, so I'm hoping this works. And then while I was doing this, I did notice that this bolt right here on my throttle body was a little rusted, so I went ahead and took it out, cleaned it up with a brass brush, and then I went ahead and spray painted the head a little bit, and now I put it back in the car because it looks a lot better. But one thing I do remember is a while ago I did change my headlight motor relay, and I put the old one in the glove box, so I'm gonna go ahead and switch it back to see if maybe the new one has had a problem with it. Let's see if that works. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But with those grounds cleaned and the headlight motor relay switched out, let's see if this works. And we have to go back to the drawing board once again. And you can see my face here. I'm pretty frustrated with this car because I've been working on it for the past couple hours and have still yet to find an issue. So now I'm going to go ahead and go under the dash because I do hear there are grounds under here. So I'm going to go ahead and clean these and see if that works. And after going under the dash, I still have not figured this out. Nothing seems to be working. So we're going to go ahead and go to the back of the car to see if we can figure this out. So while I was cleaning the ground in the back of the car, I realized there was a lot of water in the taillights and all over. So I wanted to see if the water was maybe shorting out the electrical system. So I unplugged them and wanted to see if running the car without the taillights involved would do the trick, but unfortunately we're right back at the drawing board. Now these cars' electrical systems can be pretty faulty, but honestly if you know what you're doing and you know how to track them down, it won't be too bad. But unfortunately it seems like I have a gremlin that I just cannot track right now, so I'm gonna have to come back to the drawing board another day.